When was the last time you were truly alone? There was no phone, there was no TV, there was no distractions, there was no music. When was the last time? Most people can't even really handle that question. They don't even know the answer to that question for the most part. You might not even know when the last time you even sat alone in the quiet and thought to yourself. We live in a world addicted to noise, and there's just no silence anymore. Nobody knows what it's like to sit in silence anymore. It's super rare. You ever heard about that experiment, I think, that happened at a college campus where they asked a bunch of students would they rather sit in a room by themselves or stay out the room and shock themselves for like 30 minutes straight? And the majority of them picked stay out the room and shock themselves. I don't know if that is a super common thing or I don't relate to it really, but I've been hearing it a lot that people have a hard time sitting by themselves and sitting in rooms by themselves without some sort of a distraction. And I think that's a pretty big problem. I don't think that's a normal thing for us to be dealing with nowadays. I mean, all these distractions are fairly new, especially in the internet age that we live in right now. We didn't always have these TVs and these gaming consoles, and we for sure didn't have these smartphones for the majority of human life. So this is something that our ancestors have been able to really tap into. Our ancestors have been able to tap into just being silent and just being still and just being able to chill, you know? And I think that's a lost art nowadays. That's something that's really lost with the people nowadays. Solitude feels uncomfortable because it forces you to kind of acknowledge and deal with all the things that you're kind of running away from or you're hiding from. It forces you to actually think about some things. It forces the real thoughts to come out of your head. The deep down thoughts you actually have deep in your head. They actually have a chance to bubble up. I mentioned it in the last video. That's why people can't sleep sometimes, because their brain wakes up in that silence, because right before you go to sleep is one of the rare moments that most people, if you're not just on your phone or something in bed, that most people actually have a chance to kind of sit in that silence a few minutes before they go to sleep. And then some people have a hard time falling asleep because of that silence, because their brain has a chance to actually wake up. Their brain has a chance to wake up and actually just show them what they've been kind of avoiding. There's fear beneath silence, and that stillness allows the fears you have to really bubble up, the insecurities you have, the regrets you might have, some thoughts in the past, the anxiety about the future. It allows all these things to really bubble up to the surface. For some, it could even be just emptiness. There's nothing really there. Most people aren't afraid of being alone necessarily, like just being in a room by yourself. They're afraid of what their brain is going to tell them when nobody else is around, what thoughts they're going to have when nobody else is around, when there's no distractions. All of this, I'm saying, involves no distractions. So if you're scrolling, you're watching stuff, you're playing stuff, that all counts as distractions, because you're not letting your brain fully sit in that silence. You always are having to stimulate it with something. Silence is a mirror. It just shows you who you really are and what thoughts you actually have. It doesn't show you some new version of yourself that you didn't know existed. It just shows you who you actually are deep down. And you have to be okay with that. You have to be okay with getting to know that person. You can't keep running away from who you are. You're you. You're gonna be here for a long time, hopefully. So you want to run from this person for 30 years, 40 years, 50 years, 60 years, you know? And especially today in 2025, distractions are the new modern day comfort. There's no such thing anymore pretty much as people finding comfort in the stillness and things. People are finding comfort in, like I keep mentioning, the technology for the most part. It pretty much all has to do with technology. All this tech is where people are finding their comfort in, and they don't even realize how much they're being overstimulated. Your brain is being fried with dopamine and being fried with things daily, constantly, because of these devices that you're using. And you're never unplugging. You're never doing anything to counteract that. You're never doing anything to counterbalance all this stuff you're doing on all these screens and all these devices. And our brains just aren't really built for that. They're not really built for these constant feedback dopamine loops. They're not built for this constant instant gratification. You hear about it a lot, but it's just instant gratification everywhere. Like, we don't have to wait for anything nearly anymore. If you want something, you can get it ordered to your door within the hour, within a few hours, sometimes the next day. If you want to, nowadays, I remember back then, if a movie that came out, it wasn't coming out on DVD until like a year and a half, 2 years or something like that. Nowadays, when a movie comes out, it's on a streaming service 2 months later. Like, I don't even really go to the movies for most stuff anymore, because I know it's going to be on a streaming app in a month, 2 months. Everything is so fast nowadays. With everything being fast, even the little pauses that we do have, like sitting at a red light or waiting in a line, people are scrambling to get to their phones. They got to pull their phones out with every little thing on earth. Like, nobody can just sit there and just enjoy the scenery, look around, make eye contact. Just, I don't know, hum a song in your head, anything. People are just reaching for their phones if there's even just a little bit of stillness in their life, and it's crazy. The amount of people that I see, as soon as they get to a red light here in Vegas, they're clawing to their phone. It's just ridiculous. Like, I don't understand it. I'm just not that way. Like, I'd rather be off my phone for the majority of the day. I don't even like really touching my phone like that unless it's something that is important, or something that I have to do. Like, is I just don't get it. And it's weird because solitude feels unnatural for so many, but that's where clarity comes from. That's where clarity has came from for a long time. It's how humans have been able to do a lot of things on this planet. How we have all these cities and all this new technology. You think people were coming up with this stuff with their brains full of a bunch of noise and distractions and all this stuff? No, people sat down with their thoughts. They thought things through. They wrote things out. They actually thought, and that's how we have a lot of the things we have today. People using their brains in stillness, in solitude. And for a lot of people, when they sit with themselves, it's not going to be straight peace at first. It's going to be pretty messy. You're going to think about all the things you did wrong, all the regrets you have, all the stupid things you said, all the stupid things you've done. Those things are usually going to bubble up first, but you got to weed those things out and get to your actual thoughts and get to things that are really important, like actually what you're doing today, what you're going to do today, what you're going to plan on doing tomorrow, things that will actually help you improve. Try to form some new habits. Don't just think about your bad habits. You got to be able to flip that script, because if you let your brain torment you, it will torment you all day, every day. If you let your brain be negative, it'll just reinforce a lot of negativity all day, every day. You have to force your brain into doing certain things you want it to do. You're not just some mindless zombie here just walking through Earth and you just go with whatever your brain is throwing at you. Your brain is just a brain, and you can train it yourself. You train what your brain does. You train how it thinks. You can train it to do a lot of positive things, or you can train it to do a lot of negative things. It's all about how you use it and what you do with it. And if you stay in that solitude long enough, a lot of the noise will settle and you can get to the root of the important things. When the noise fades, your real voice will be able to come through. Your real voice will be able to really come through on the things you want to get done, how you can hit your goals, how you can do new habits. And there's power in your solitude. There's power in being alone, because there's nothing that you can run from. You form a stronger bond with yourself. It strengthens your inner core. It strengthens your mental core. It just lets you really get to the root of who you actually are and who you want to be. It teaches you to be grounded with yourself. And when you're grounded with yourself, it's super easy to be grounded with others. And people are going to feel that. People are going to feel when you're really at ease with yourself. And it rubs off on people. It makes people want to be around you more. And when you don't need a constant validation or a constant company around you all the time, the relationships you do have and that you want to strengthen, they become way more genuine. And when you form that grounding with yourself, you won't be swayed as much. You won't be as keen to take in others' opinions or others' values. You'll have your own strength in your values and your belief systems, and you'll be able to really hold on to those and make them grow and water the seeds that you plant. So if you can already sit in a quiet room and chill with your thoughts, and you're okay with who you are, one of the most important things is being okay with yourself when you're by yourself. Can you fully sit in a room with no distractions and not be tormented and not be miserable? And if that is you, then congratulations, you're already ahead of a lot of people on this planet, because a lot of people cannot do that for some reason. It's something that people just don't have anymore. And if that's not you, I encourage you to spend more time alone with no distractions, not even a book, nothing, and see what your brain tells you. Try to get better at it, even if it's 5 minutes a day, 10 minutes a day. Even if you do that in a form of meditation, just invite more silence into your life. People have a hard time doing this, and I get why, especially in 2025. But if you try it out, a lot of things will change around you. And at some point, you'll realize that the solitude is not a punishment, it's preparation for a lot of different things. It's not a punishment for all the things that you did wrong and all the bad thoughts you're going to have. If you flip that, it can be preparation for who you want to actually become down the road and who you actually want to be later on. So use it as fuel. But if you got this far, my name is TJ. If you found any of this helpful, consider hitting that like, consider subscribing. That's all I wanted to talk about this time. I got another part to this about this kind of loneliness or being alone topic that I'm going to do here soon. A part of this little 3-part thing I'm doing here. So stay tuned for that. But that's it. I'm out of here. I'll see y'all.